Having trouble playing defense in college football 26? Your problem might be that you're not using the new coaching adjustments.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
As there's a ton of new coaching adjustments in college football 26 that could be the difference between winning and losing games.
Something is wrong here.
Including a brand new substitutions tab that can have your best players on the sideline when you need them the most.
Who the f*** is that guy?
So in today's video, I'm going to go over all the best gameplay settings you should be using the second you get this game. But before I do, if this video helps you out at all, please help the channel back by hitting the like button and subscribing for more helpful tips. And let's get right into it. And I'm going to start off on offense because there's the least to do here. Ball carrier used to be the only thing you could set, but they changed it now so that if you turn it on, it only affects AI ball carriers, which is not something that you really deal with too much unless you're playing like Road to Glory or something like that. I really don't know the point of this, so I would have just took this off entirely, as it only gives you negatives and affects the like even if you put it on aggressive, it doesn't help you anymore either. So there's really no point to this anymore. Should have took that off. There was never a point to blocking either, so it's like the entire offensive side is kind of pointless. But I do hear some people say that they put their blocking on aggressive when it comes to like QB sneaks and QB run plays at the goal line and stuff like that. But that's the only time. And I don't do this because if you do this for one play, number one, I never noticed it helped out anyway. But number two, if you do, then you forget to take it off. Next thing you get a bunch of phantom holding penalties and stuff like that. So I wouldn't touch any of these. All this stuff you could do like mid-play. When it comes to catching, you could do your rack. And it's the AI now anyway, so it doesn't even make sense. But all that stuff you can do mid-play. So none of this is really worth anything. Same thing when it comes to the tempo adjustment. This is situational. It's definitely helpful to go no huddle sometimes, although it wears your team down. Turbo is also helpful, even though you have less plays. You only get two plays to choose from when you go turbo. But if you get to like a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1, you want to hurry up and like steal a quick first down, go turbo. Spam Y, spam Y or triangle. Just go into a no huddle type of thing and just pick it up. You'll blow the defense off the ball, and you'll get that first down a lot easier. But there's no real reason to go to tempo adjust aside from maybe chewing clock. That's about the only thing if you're running the clock out. Other than that, none of this has any value. When it comes to substitutions, I made an entire video breaking down how I would do your custom setting here, which I think is probably the best way to go from the pause menu. I mean, there are some quick answers here, like if you're playing a season-long dynasty, keeping fresh is probably best. And if you're playing a single game, you want to set this to grind it out. If you're playing just road to college football playoffs or like a cut game, you can go grind it out just to keep your best players out there. But other than that, I mean, keep fresh. Who wants to have substitutions with linemen? Same thing with quarterbacks. You definitely want to, even if you're playing with like a season-long game, you might want to go grind it out. But it's best to go to where you have control over this, which is custom, as you just want to make sure that you set this in your settings, which is, like I said, an entire video that I made yesterday breaking all this stuff down. I'll have links on screen at the end of the video if you guys want to check that out, as well as popping up in the top right-hand corner right now. But let's be real, we're all here for the new defensive adjustments anyway, as this is much more important. When it comes to substitutions though, same principles apply. If you're playing a single game, you want to go to grind it out. If you're playing a season-long game, you want to go keep fresh. Although realistically, I would say balanced is probably the second best option if you're playing, in pretty much just any game mode, because you definitely want you guys out there for the key moments. And I would ultimately say set your custom in the settings, set your custom sliders. But let's go ahead and let's go into the actual coaching adjustments themselves, which is something that I really break down and go into much more in depth in my new ebook that I put out this year. I put out a defensive tips and strategy ebook where I go over just about everything, including a 6-step strategy that you can use to be better on defense. I'll have information for that popping up on screen. But if you guys want to check that out, links in the description, as well as the top pinned comment. More information on basically just how to be a better defensive player. I'm really proud of the books that I made this year, so I'm letting everybody know about that as much as I can. Other than that, we're going to go with the auto flip defensive play call. This year, I always turn off. If you're a newer player and you really are just like going off of the coach's suggestions, or you're really just calling plays, you're not making too many setups or nothing like that, you're playing against a computer, you can leave this on. It's probably going to be better to leave on. But if you're playing online against people and you like to set your defense up a specific way to give you the best chance to beat online competition, you definitely want to go off, because you want to control where you're sending your blitz from. Specifically when it comes to like blitzing outside cornerbacks or something like that, I want to be able to flip it so that I can go opposite the running back, or I can just set up my play however I want. So that's something where I definitely leave that off. When it comes to cornerback matchups, I typically leave this to balanced. I know a lot of people go speed. I feel like sometimes You know, if you have a really fast, the only time I really go by speed is if there's a really fast, if there's a 99 speed guy out there, I'll go speed. But typically, if I have a really fast cornerback that's not highly rated overall anyway, he's still going to get cooked. But that's the only time I really switch this up, is either by speed or maybe I got a really tall cornerback out there, then I might go by height. But other than that, I just leave it to default. I just leave it to balanced. You could also go by depth chart. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it. Sometimes doing this can actually mess up too if you're like in a zone coverage, especially like a matching zone. Sometimes, you know, if you set this to one of these other ones, you'll see like your cornerback completely out of position because he's trying to match a receiver. The game's buggy like that, so I still leave it at balance. But if you run man coverage, it's less. You'll have that issue less because there's not. You know, they'll just match to the receiver they're supposed to cover. When it comes to defensive motion response, I typically go to disable this because, once again, I don't want a last second motion moving the cornerback that I precisely set up exactly where I want him to be to maintain outside leverage. I don't want him to all of a sudden just react to a random motion that has nothing to do with the play anyway. Might just be like you know, it's just something that doesn't really affect the play, and I don't want it messing up my defense, so I disable that. When it comes to all these option and RPO things, the option read key's been the same for years. You want to go to conservative because you always want to funnel the run plays back inside where all your help is. It's harder to stop the run to the outside. Everybody should know that. That's why stretch runs and toss runs are always, you know, pretty OP. Running the outside is easier because typically there's less people out there, just a cornerback or two, which are the easiest defenders to block. They also tackle the worst out of anybody on the field. So you definitely want to push the ball back inside where your help is. And if a quarterback gets outside on a read option, it's going to be a much bigger play than a dive ever will be, because you have your DTs in there, you got your linebackers in there, your safeties. All those guys are better at stopping the run. So you always want to force the ball back inside. When it comes to the option pitch key, same idea. You're going to want to go to aggressive, though, because, once again, you want to focus on the pitch. You want to make sure you're attacking the widest angle first, make the quarterback keep it back inside, because once you get outside, that's really where all the space is. So you want to go conservative on option, aggressive on pitch. When it comes to the RPO, these are two new ones right here. We got the RPO read key, which is basically the same idea as the option read key. You're going to want to basically focus on the quarterback once again because you want him to hand it off. You want him to hand it off inside. Typically, you can set up your defense to stop the run inside anyway, just by pinching the defensive line and stuff like that. So you always want to turn the play back inside. And then you have the RPO pass key, which very easily says you want to focus on, once again, conservative, which is going to focus on pass coverage, because if RPOs are the most dangerous when they're being swung out to the pass, when you're being swung out to a bubble screen, when you're being swung out to just any type of screen is going to be more effective than the actual run play itself. So I'd rather leave the run gap open because I feel like you get more consistently, especially when it comes to you know, to your typical bubble screens and stuff like that. So we always want to focus on the pass itself. When it comes to these mechanics here, you can leave both of these on balance, but I actually like putting tackling on conservative, because this right here is just going to make sure, actually, I'm sorry, we got it backwards. I think it's strip ball. Put strip ball on conservative, because this is going to have lower break tackle chances, where, you know, there's really not a negative. It says AI will not attempt to strip. Well, they don't really get a lot of strips anyway. The AI doesn't. You can get strips more easily than the AI. So I go conservative there. Balanced here's good, although you know, I mean, the AI defenders once again aren't going to get hit stick tackles. So I would say leave this one on balance, put this one on conservative, so you just have more conservative tackling. When it comes to zone drops, I run a lot of matching coverages, but if you run regular drops, I would say, me personally, I like to put my flats in the 5 or 0, mostly because I find that a lot of times when I'm running my cover 3 match, which if you guys don't know the difference between cover 3 match and cover 3, yeah, cover 3 sky is like a regular cover 3, where cover 3 match is like this seam flat play here. So I'm switching over to the other side of the ball to show you guys the difference between cover 3 match and cover 3 sky. We're going to pick cover 3 sky. On a play like this, typically like a comeback route or an out route, these flats are going to play right underneath it there. So that's why, you know, that's going to be a really good play. But a lot of times it'll also leave open the seams. So like right here, you see how this guy's dropping underneath, although there we have a pull route pulling that seam back. So it's a little bit different. But if I put RB on a streak, now you'll notice that that guy doesn't necessarily match as well. We get open right at the seam for an easy seam beating play. That's why the difference is the biggest when it comes to cover 3 match, as it'll prioritize the seams more. So if we pick cover 3 match this time instead of cover 3 sky, even though you can't see it, we're going to see how this guy's going to match going up the seam there. And even though I got hit, you can see how this tight end is not getting open because that seam flat is gonna follow him all the way up the way, all the way up the seam there. So if you set your zone drops when it comes to flats, number one, if you set any of these, you're going to override the matching principles. I typically just use these situationally if I have somebody that's beating me a certain way to whatever depth I'm having issues with. Now, when it comes to safety depth, this can be situational also. Obviously, you have things like prevent, you have things like deep. That's if you're really trying not to give up a big play. But if you're going to run this normally, I would say either default or, again, with certain defenses, close. Close is really good with 8 yards off the line of scrimmage, but it's not going to be good if you're running like a cover 3. So let's go and let's pick that, and I'll show you guys why this is not going to work out too great against certain offensive formations. But I got to find the right offensive formation. So let's find the PA bubble wide over right here. So these safeties are up nice and close, but look how far away this safety is if that tight end is on a seam play once again. You know what I mean? It's like the seam flat's most likely going to match, but there's a much better chance for the tight end here to basically go right up the seam and cause problems because that safety is just too far down to really cover his area. I'd much rather have this safety be back like around here towards the center of the field so that he can basically cover both sides much better and not give up seam plays a lot better. So I feel like that's a really good setup. But if you're running like a cover 4, like a cover 4 quarters, cover palms, or even a cover 2 man, which is something I really like to run, then having those safeties down in the box is going to be really helpful. And I'll show you guys why. As you can see right here, they're just going to be much closer when it comes to playing run lane or playing pass lanes and run lanes. It's especially helpful if you're running cover 4, although there can be a downside if you don't have very good cover 4 safeties. So I'm going to choose cover 4 palms, and then I'm just going to look for a good play action pass play like the PA stretch shot. Okay, so this is a play where we have the safeties are down really close, really tight, and you can see how this safety, even though we got the sack, is biting too aggressively on this play action. So the computer isn't necessarily going to put like somebody on the street or something, but look how he's out of position. If this guy here is running a post, which he is, you're going to see how he's going to get inside leverage. And if it wasn't for the fact, I mean, obviously this guy's trailing, it's supposed to be his responsibility. So just know that you can have these guys down like this, and it's going to be helpful to get them in the pass lane and stuff like that, but it's going to be detrimental against play actions. Now, if you're running cover 4, one of the best adjustments you could add to the safety depth being close is pinching your safety width, which will basically bring these closer to the middle of the field, which is going to be really helpful when it comes to run defense inside, not necessarily outside, where you might want to spread them so that you can have better outside run contain. But this is somewhat situational once again. So if I'm running a cover 4 quarters and I'm by myself, I'll go ahead and I'll pick just a random formation here. But if I'm by myself inside here, which is a lonely place to be when you're a run defender, I can pinch my defensive line to try to help myself out. But if I pinch these safeties, it's going to bring them closer to the middle, meaning that they're going to help me out more since we already saw how they basically drop down and play the run. Same thing for outside runs. If your opponent is running a lot of stretch runs, you're going to want to go the reverse there and basically spread them. I wouldn't recommend doing this in any other defense other than cover 4 though, because obviously you have 4 deep safeties, 4 deep zones, where if you did this in like a cover 2, it would obviously be problematic because then you'd be leaving wide sections or big sections of the field wide open. So we'll go and we'll do that again, and you can see here in a wide alignment, it almost looks like an invert cover 2. You got way too much space up the middle of the field. So if you're in a defense where you have 4 safeties, you can get away with this. And now, like I said, if we're running something, let's say like your opponent's running something out of a wide zone out of a single back, now these safeties are so wide, if they try to run outside, these safeties are going to be playing the outside run at a depth where they're already kind of outside, so it should help to maintain that outside run a lot better. Now, if your opponent likes to run something like a wide stack, which you might see in Tennessee, where the field is just really spread wide, you'll notice that when you come out, you really only have, like on this side of the field here, if I put this wide receiver on a streak, like there's really nothing to stop this from like a one-play touchdown, like an easy one-play touchdown. So I guess EA put something into the game to help prevent that by basically allowing you to change your coaching adjustment safety depth or safety width, to spread or wide. Spread is kind of like halfway there. As you'll see, like we're still not really that far out, where wide is going to have them like all the way to the boundary to basically match formations like this. So if I choose this one more time, and I basically go to my coaching adjustments, set this to wide, then we're going to see how these guys are going to be like all the way to the boundary. Like now we have our best chance to stop plays like this. So since this is something that you really only want to do against certain offenses, just, you know, wait in the huddle to see if your opponent picks something that says wide on it like that, or like wide stack. You're going to only pick this if they pick an offensive formation. You're going to then want to go to your coaching adjustments and then match it. Now for this last coaching adjustment, I'm going to reuse a play from the gun empty tray stack, which is a one-play touchdown against cover 3 that I showed you guys in a previous video, called the fade out, from my Alabama offensive ebook one more time. And we're going to show it against cover 3 because this last adjustment is really best specifically when it comes to cover 3. I think it's designed for cover 3, as cover 4 like really glitches out when you have 2 safeties. It'll probably do the same with cover 2, though I haven't tried that yet. But when you have a single high safety like cover 3 match, whatever cover 3 you want, you'll notice that on default, the safety is going to lean towards the side that has more receivers. So if I motion this guy and put him on a streak, I'm going to take advantage of that wider than normal gap between the cornerback and the safety on the left side, based on the fact that the safety or the cornerback is going to react down to the cornerback and basically just give me a really big hole up the middle there. Now, if you're playing against somebody that's doing this to you, you have the option to go into your coaching adjustments, and essentially you can change the midpoint to left if you want to right, although realistically I think that it's going to be best to change it to strong. And now you see when I come out of the huddle that safety is right over top of the area, which I can still kind of get through too, but you can see it's going to be much more difficult as the safety is in a much better place to succeed based off the fact that I changed it. Like I said, you can also change it from left to right. It's really up to you. But like I said, it's situational, and I think it's really based off of where the safety is going to be in a cover 3 more than other defenses. If I choose cover 4, you're going to see how we got a ridiculous look where I don't even know where the other cover 4 safety is. I'd almost have to be on defense here, as it looks like a cover 3 once again, but in reality there's 2 safeties that are all the way on the left side of the field because it's not really designed for things like cover 4. If I choose cover 2, which I haven't actually tested yet, it's probably going to be the same way. Let's choose Tampa 2 here, and you can see, I mean, we're just giving up huge space right up the middle now. So obviously, like I said, it's designed for the single high safety in cover 3 pretty primarily, and cover 1. Any defense where you have a single high safety, you're going to be able to control where they are in the field of play with this potential, because basically like a cover 3 match on this play, you can see the safety typically comes from the left side, where some cover 3s that come from the right side. So it's the same scenario. If you want to control where your single high safety is on the field, you can change the safety midpoint to the point where it's really going to be wherever you want them to be. And the reason I said strong also, and I'll go ahead and I'll back out, is because if you're going against somebody who's running like a specific 3 wide receiver set, which is really popular, like say like a bunch, or you know, something like a trips or a trio like we have here, and I choose this play once again, you want to create space with those 3 wide receivers. But if I choose a cover 3 match, now all the help is going to be on the left side, to the point where it's going to make it more difficult, because that's technically the strong side. That's where the most likely scenario is that you're going to have pass plays where the 3 receivers are. So if I change it to here, if I move the ball, especially if I'm running from a hash mark to the open side of the field to try to create even more space, you can see all the coverage is on that side, and there's much less on the right side of the field where I really only have 1 receiver. So I'm going to end the video there, but if you guys want to see more helpful tips, I've already put out several videos about college football 26. I'll have that popping up on screen right now, including the one that I already mentioned. Other than that, thanks for watching, man. My shit out. Need more help or just want to show your support? Then head over to my Patreon and join my team, where you can get exclusive content like ebooks and bonus plays, as well as early access to my vids and more. Link in the description below.